So what happened was I reevaluated all my relationships where I was doing trades with people, and where it wasn't working for me, I stopped those. And to be honest with you, I had some people that were not happy with me for doing that. But the reason being was because they were actually getting more from what they were getting from me than what I was getting from them. But despite that, I could see that it was really devaluing me. And it was devaluing them because they weren't getting nearly as much out of what I was giving them as they could have. So I created a platinum group for my members, which was where they then had a higher price. And I also raised the entry level of my program around the same time. And it was interesting to me how some of the people in the group moved up to the platinum group. And it ended up that the majority of the people that are in there now were more comfortable in doing it as soon as I was clearer on my own value. So as soon as I was, okay, well, what I do is really, really valuable, and I'm not just going to be giving it away, and I'm going to make sure that people are actually valuing it and utilizing it, then they came on board. And they were just more comfortable in paying more. And then I realized that they're actually getting so much more from the program. So granted, I speak to them twice more a month than I would have. But what we do in one call is phenomenal. The amount of energy we clear, the amount of limiting beliefs that are cleared is phenomenal. It's just, it really is the most intensive call. Whereas in the entry-level call, things are shifting, things are moving, things are changing, and it's amazing. But there's not that level of intensity. And I can perceive how there's not as much of a level of commitment on my part and their part as well. Because it's almost like, well, I'm just willing to receive this much on their part. And I go with that. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just give you this much then. And I'll push the boundaries a tiny bit, but I won't push it too much because it just doesn't seem worth it to me. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I've stopped this pattern of what I was doing of if I give someone everything, if I give someone my greatness, if I just give, then that person is going to know how great I am. So I've stopped doing that. And instead, I've started looking at how great I am and acknowledging my greatness and being an allowance of my greatness and really acknowledging it, as opposed to, for example, I used to put it on to Julian to acknowledge my greatness. You know, and I would just be like, okay, well, if I do this or if I do that and if I do this, then he'll know how amazing and great I am. Whereas now I don't do things like that so much. I notice when I'm doing things now, though, and it's great because I'm like, wow, he's really lucky. You know, and that's a totally different way of being from where I used to feel compelled to do something because I thought if I did this or that or the other, then he would acknowledge my greatness. And he would verify my greatness. And he would show me my greatness. Because I had no clue. Do you get what I'm saying? Whereas yesterday I went downstairs and I was with my son in the kitchen. And he wanted a cup of, not a cup. He wanted a piece of chocolate cake. So I shouted up to Julian. He was like way upstairs, like in the loft. I said, do you want a cup of tea and a piece of chocolate cake? And I was just like, he's so lucky. You know, I was just thinking, he's so lucky. And I was there making it, and he never came down, and I was like, because I knew I had to take it upstairs. And so my son helped me take it upstairs. And And I was the whole time, I was like, God, he's so lucky that I'm doing this. Whereas at the beginning of the year, before I'd looked at my own value, it would have been something that I kind of had to do. And I would have done it in hopes that he was keeping a notebook with all the good deeds that I'd done, calculating my greatness. Because in my mind, that's what I was doing.
Yes, gold star tick.
Yes. And I never found that bloody book of his. So yeah, so now it's totally switched around to where I can look at my value and my greatness. And I know it was just a cup of tea and chocolate cake, but I didn't have to do it. And I actually realized last night that I didn't have to do it. I didn't have to shout up the stairs and ask him if he wanted it. And I certainly didn't have to make it. And I most definitely didn't have to take it upstairs. But I chose to. And I chose to do it realizing the benefit that it would be to him. And acknowledging that to myself. Perhaps that is a bit diva-ish, but I'm okay with it. Me too. So, how you guys be? How are you doing?
I wish I'd known all this a very long time ago.
How does it get any better than this? You know it now. Woohoo! What else is possible?
Absolutely.
What are the infinite possibilities?